Hello everyone and welcome back to my YouTube channel. My name is Evelyn and today I'm going to tell you about why I decided to add a money market account to my portfolio of accounts and also how I went about choosing one. To everyone that is returning to the channel, thank you very much for your support, and to everyone who is new and not subscribed, please press the subscribe button and join us. I talk about money and investing and a whole range of other subjects on this channel. I've made an assessment on my savings structure, my cash savings structure, and decided that I need a money market account for my emergency savings. Previously, what I used to do is to just save in a 32 days account. 32-day notice account, yes, and a access bond, and to use my access bond for extra savings. But I've realized that that whole structure doesn't work for me. The 32 days account, if I need the money, I will have to wait for 32 days. In the access bond, if I withdraw money, that means the balance on the bond goes up, which means the interest will go up. So I needed to separate my money from Anthea's book. If you go to page 22, I'm going to read it to you. When you're saving, you want stability of capital. You want to know that in a couple of months to a couple of years, you still have that money you put away, and maybe a bit more to cover inflation, for a little holiday, a deposit on a house or a car, or perhaps just in case of an emergency. So you choose to deposit it in a bank and you earn a bank deposit rate. If you're wanting to do a bit better than a bank deposit, you need to put it in a money market fund, which has good liquidity. A money market fund is generally considered a safe investment. It is a fund managed by a professional manager that grows monthly. The return on this fund can be reinvested or paid out to the investor. Good liquidity means you can withdraw your money at a short notice without incurring penalties. You get the yield pickup. You earn a bit more than a simple cash deposit, as the professional fund manager pools your money with that of other people and takes a little more risk on your behalf. So that is what Anthea says, and that is why I like this book, because as much as she talks about you should save, you should do this, you should prepare for a rainy day and everything, she talks about why each product in the market, or many products, she covers a lot of products in the market, are important and should be considered. I'm going to talk to you about my research and how I found my preferred money market account. So I've got my notes because I don't want to forget anything. So where can one find a money market account? Mainly in South Africa, there are two places where you can find a money market account: the banks and fund managers such as Cartesian Capital, Coronation, Momentum, Alexandra Forbes, etc. and so forth. And so I'm going to talk about the differences between the two role players, what I considered when I looked at the banks, I looked at the fund managers. So my focus when I looked at the money market account was to look at the minimum deposit that I might have to pay when I establish or open the account, the costs related to that account, and the access to the money, because a good money market account is accessible and in a very short space of time. Must always remember that. So I looked at the banks, two banks in particular. I looked at FNB, which is where I bank currently, and Investec. FNB, they they offer an interest rate of 4.25%. Currently, they offer 4.25%. And if you look at the inflation rate at the moment, I think it's about 3.5, if I'm not mistaken. And I think that's good because at least your money is still protected from inflation. Their minimum deposit is 100,000 rand. But yeah, I don't have 100,000 at the moment to establish a money market account or cash account, so I didn't look at it further. Then Investec has two criteria. If you're a client, your minimum deposit is 100,000. So when you approach Investec, you must have 100,000 if you're not a client. No, if you are a client, sorry. But if you're a non-bank client, you must have 250,000 rand. So again, for me, that was too much money. It was money I don't have. So, but the nice thing about the Investec account is that you can access your money in 24 to 48 hours. So that means it's a liquid account and there are no monthly fees. I suppose for FNB the same applies. There would be no monthly fees and so on. So fund managers, in terms of fund managers, I considered 3 houses, investment houses. These are the ones that I looked at in detail. I did look at Allan Gray as the 4th one, but these 3 were my main ones. So these were Momentum, Cartesian Capital, which was founded by Anthea, and Coronation. 3 things I said: cost, minimum or barriers of entry, and then liquidity. So one other thing that I looked at in all the 3 is what is their fund objective. So all of them said the objective of the fund, to rephrase, the objective of the fund is to preserve capital of the investor and to make sure that the money grows in line or up just above inflation, you know. So it's a relatively safe product. And then I also looked at what is the index, the benchmarking index that they use. All of them use an index called STEFI. Homework. Please go and find out what STEFI is. It was very interesting to find that there is an index with that type of name. It sounds like a girl's name. So yeah, those are the things that I compared, and I was like, okay, from here I can compare because they almost do the same thing. So now, in terms of cost, the reason why I considered cost or looked at cost is that because the returns are so low, I need to be paying as little as possible. And then the barriers of entry will encourage me to, will determine which account I go with, because I want to establish this as soon as possible and have some commitment to it. So that's the reason why I looked at barriers of entry, or why it was a factor that counted. Liquidity, not so much. I was flexible on that one. So Momentum, Cartesian, Coronation. So the barriers of entry at Momentum is 2,000 rand. So that's a very nice amount to start with. And then Cartesian Capital, 25,000 rand. And then Coronation, 10,000 rand. If you look at the banks, these fund managers are actually saying, we are here for you. So they sound more reasonable than the banks, and usually most of us are more comfortable with banks. And in terms of cost, Momentum charges 0.59%. And then in terms of cost at Cartesian, there's a fact sheet on their website, Cartesian Capital, which is dated March 2019. So I don't know if these costs have been updated. Just do your homework if you want to look into it, but maybe you could call them or verify. But this is what I got from their website and the fact sheet that is on their website. It says that their cost is 0.35%, and then Coronation's cost is 0.3%. As I said, the cost is what will count the most, because let's say your fund manager gets you 1% above inflation, because you're always trying to beat inflation with this product. So if Momentum takes 0.59, you are left with 0.41. Mathematics. Yes, you're left with 0.41 as your earnings or your return or your growth, actually, as your growth. And then at Cartesian, you're left with 0.65. And then at Coronation, you are left with 0.7. I do remember that at Allan Gray, the cost was 0.29. So you're left with 0.71 there. The less the cost, the bigger the growth. So in terms of liquidity, I didn't consider Momentum because costs are too high there for me. So I looked at Cartesian Capital and Coronation. And Cartesian, they will pay out in 48 hours if you need your money. And Coronation, 72 hours. So that's the money market account. And my final decision was to choose Coronation's money market account on the basis of their barrier of entry, which is 10,000 Rand, and the cost of 0.3%. And yeah, basically that's how I got myself a money market account. So remember that this is not financial advice. If you want financial advice, please talk to someone that is registered with the FSCA. My video is to initiate the conversation. So if you are looking for a money market account, those are the 3 things that I considered. Your needs may be different. Maybe you have different objectives, or you have a preference in brand. But if you don't have a brand preference, those are the things that you can consider. That's my video for today. Please, let's talk about the emergency fund. Where are you keeping your emergency fund? Are you happy? If you have a money market fund account, which house do you have it with? What are your costs? Are you aware of your costs? And also, if you don't have it, what is your emergency fund structure looking like? Let's talk about these things so that we can improve each other's lives. Thank you so much for joining me again, and I hope to see you soon in the next video. Bye.